Greetings. My name is Jeff Malloy. I am a senior climate adaptation planner with BSC Group. And the purpose of this video that you're watching is to provide you with an introduction to the Rural Dirt Road Vulnerability Assessment Project. So this is a regional collaborative 3-municipality effort in the towns of Sheffield, New Marlborough, and Sandisfield, Massachusetts. This project is funded through a grant through the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, and I'll describe a little bit more about that through this presentation. If you are watching this presentation, you are most likely a core team member on the project. So that means you are deeply involved in the planning process that we're going to be going through as we assess dirt roads within the communities of Sheffield, New Marlborough, and Sandisfield. But you may also be a resident within the community or an interested stakeholder that would like to participate and engage with this process as it occurs over the next year and a half. So whomever you may be, it's great to have you participating with this project. You probably came across this video through the website that we've developed for the project, which will remain live throughout the duration of this planning effort. You may have come across it on YouTube. So either way, it's great to have you participating, and please feel free to engage with the website, and I will provide links to the URL to the website at the end of this presentation. So let's get started. This presentation should last about 15 minutes or so, and I'm going to quickly hide my video panel, and we're rolling. So the MVP program, the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, it's a grant funding program developed and implemented through the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. I may refer to its acronym as EEA throughout this presentation. So that's what I'm referring to when you hear me use that acronym, EEA. But generally, the program has been developed with the intent of increasing the climate resilience of Massachusetts municipalities. The program is entering its 4th year of grant funding cycles, entering into the fiscal year 21 cycle as we speak. And the map that you're seeing here depicts all of the communities that have participated in the program since its inception, which I believe is back in fiscal year 18. So the communities shown in blue or yellow are communities that have gone through the planning grant process. And when a community successfully goes through the planning grant process, you become a designated MVP community. And when you've achieved MVP community designation, you become eligible for action grant funding. So the Rural Dirt Road Vulnerability Assessment project is a action grant funded project. So there's, I think, probably at this point about 80% of the communities in the state have been designated. So the communities that you see in white are those that have not gone through the program yet or have completed their planning grant process. I'll also note, you can see the star on the screen. The state in the last year and a half or so have established regional coordinator positions through the MVP program. So I've provided to you the contact information for Carrie Ann Petrick. She is the Berkshire and Hilltown region MVP coordinator. So she's more than happy to answer any questions that you may have if you need specific information. So moving on, MVP designation and action grant. So as I said previously, when you go through the planning grant process and you earn your community designation status, you become eligible for action grant money. So Sheffield and Sandisfield, they earned their MVP community designation in 2019. The town of New Marlborough is currently going through this process and should have their designation status in June 2020. The 3 communities were awarded just under $124,000 from EEA, the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, to do this rural dirt road vulnerability assessment. So, as I said, it's a 3-town project. And what's really interesting about this project is that there are similar vulnerabilities identified in the MVP planning grant processes. So Sheffield and Sandisfield, I worked with Sheffield through their planning grant process. The vulnerability of their dirt roads was completely apparent through the planning process, and we'll explain what some of those vulnerabilities look like later in this presentation. Sandisfield actually identified their rural dirt roads as their top, or among their top, action items, things they wanted to think about as they continue to plan for the effects of climate change. And additionally, this is a common issue in rural Massachusetts communities. The intent of this project is to develop a framework that can be applied broadly throughout the region to other municipalities that are experiencing similar planning and implementation and maintenance challenges relative to their dirt roads. And finally, what was made very clear throughout the planning process is the dirt roads are very important in maintaining the rural character of Western Massachusetts. Dirt roads do require a certain type of operations and maintenance compared to paved roads, but again, the rural character of these roads is important to the communities. So what are the outcomes of this process? First, there will be a vulnerability assessment and a prioritization ranking of the dirt roads in Sheffield, New Marlborough, and Sandisfield. So what does this mean? What this means is, we know there's a problem on the dirt roads. We know that they're vulnerable to the effects of a changing climate for a number of reasons. But which ones are most vulnerable and why? And do we need to have some sort of framework or a prioritization to think about how we're going to start addressing some of the issues that we're seeing on these roadways? Public education and awareness. This is the piece where communities need to better understand how climate change is affecting them. So this process is very much going to be focused on educating the public about these challenges and raising the awareness about climate change. A baseline planning report will be developed. This will be applied specifically to the dirt roadways in Sheffield, New Marlborough, and Sandisfield. But again, there will be a framework that's developed that will be used to conduct the vulnerability assessment and the prioritization ranking, which you can apply in other communities that are interested in addressing their rural dirt road issues. The project will also be we'll be applying a case study on Weetog Road. This is a roadway in Sheffield that is subject to many issues relative to extreme weather events and the roadway washing out due to sheet flow down adjacent to steep slope areas. There are some important natural resources adjacent to this roadway. So we're going to apply what we can learn in Weetog Road to the overall vulnerability assessment. And then finally, community resilience. This is why we are doing the process. This is why the MVP program exists, is to enhance the resilience of the communities within the Commonwealth. So what does our project timeline look like? Task 1, which is the core team meeting and data collection, that is what we're doing now. We're conducting this effort virtually due to limitations relative to COVID-19 and social distancing guidelines. So we're going through this process. We will be, it is the month of May now, 2020. So we are recording this video, and we've developed a website, and we've put a survey on the website, and we're developing a bunch of ways for core team members to engage with BSC group, so we can develop, basically do a data analysis. And so I'll explain a little bit more about what task 1 involves in the next couple slides. Also, concurrently with this core team meeting and data collection effort is the development of GIS mapping and engagement materials. So in addition to your standard paper maps that would be developed for a project using GIS data, we are also developing an online data tool with those same GIS data layers. This will be made available on the project website, and you can engage with this online mapping tool. You can take push pins and stick them on the map and leave a comment that says, this dirt roadway is a known location for frequent washouts, or whatever the issue may be. So we encourage you to engage with that mapping tool, because then we can then take that information and build out our database of what the vulnerabilities look like. Task 3 is the field data collection. So concurrent with the GIS mapping, we are also developing a GIS-based tablet tool, a computer tablet tool, which our field crews can then go out using the information that we developed in the data collection piece. We can go out and drive the dirt roadways within your municipalities and collect data. So there's a damaged culvert in this location. There are steep slopes in this location. This dirt roadway is in the floodplain. This dirt roadway connects 2 important paved roadways. This dirt roadway is frequently damaged. This dirt roadway is subject to frequent repair. So we want to just gather as much information about dirt roadways in your community as we can. And then in the task 4, the vulnerability assessment process, we're going to take all that information and we're going to develop a framework, a prioritization index that allows us to quantify what the challenges are. And really prioritize the dirt roadways within the communities and the challenges that exist. There's a community engagement piece, which is going to occur a year from now, where not only are we going to engage with each municipality through a public listening session process, which may be a series of recorded videos. We don't know at this time what the future holds, but we're going to engage with the communities directly and let them know what we've been working on. And we also have plans to meet with the Berkshire Region Highway Superintendents Association to present the findings of our effort. And then finally, we're going to conduct the Weetog Road pilot study, and that will be integrated into our findings as well. So just a quick bit about climate change and the communities. Again, the communities of Sheffield and Sandisfield have gone through their planning grant process, so they understand what the challenges of climate change pose to your municipalities. And again, New Marlborough is currently going through their process currently. But again, rising temperatures. How do these types of changing climate the effects of a change in climate influence the dirt roadways in your municipalities? So rising temperatures and less frequent days below freezing can influence freeze-thaw cycles, which create lots of challenges for roadway rutting and spring maintenance, and how subject these roadways are to washouts during precipitation events. Again, changes in precipitation, that means more flooding, that means more more rainfall on roadways, extreme rainfall, and that, extreme weather is the same deal, bigger flood events affecting more of your dirt roadways. So, extreme weather events like big windstorms, blowing over trees into the roadways, that current root systems may be holding roadside shoulders in place to diminish erosion. So There's lots of challenges, and we want to understand better what the effects of climate change mean for dirt roadways, because that's the purpose of this vulnerability assessment. And so why is this important for your community? First and foremost, climate change is gradually changing the distribution of risk. So we think about risk every day in our lives with pretty much everything we do. And climate change is forcing us to think about risk in new ways. I use the photograph here. This comes from a news article in WBUR.org's, an article from WBUR.org from about a year ago. A link to this article is provided on the project website, where they were talking about how the dirt roads in Western Massachusetts were creating challenges for school bus transportation. So children having to be dropped off at locations that are different from their home, or dirt roads that are so damaged that the buses have to inch along, and children are arriving later to school. Detours on dirt roads, which are making the time spent on school buses longer, and it's very expensive. It adds cost to the municipality's school budget, right? So that brings me to my second bullet point, which is climate change is challenging the way that community resources are managed. So the example I just gave of more expensive, the cost to transport children to and from school increases, and it's directly related to the condition of dirt roads within your community. So we think about risk differently, and we think about how community resources are managed. And those are just a simple example of the many types of challenges faced by climate change with regard to risk and resources. And so again, I've said this video is intended to kick off the core team meeting. So what am I asking you to do as core team members or as engaged residents? Please review the project website. So most likely you found this video through the website, so you don't need this information, but if you want to tell a friend about this project, here is a link to the website. Review the recorded presentations on the project website. So you're viewing this presentation already, but we're going to hold additional meetings and provide additional information through video and audio format. We also have developed a survey that we encourage you to take. This will provide us with a bunch of information that allows us to organize risks and challenges and opportunities within the community relative to dirt roads. I mentioned the online ArcGIS map viewer that's on the website. Please go and find known locations within the community that you feel you want to call out, and that information will then be able to again take and help with our vulnerability assessment and prioritization ranking efforts. So once we have all engaged with the material provided on the website, we're going to get on a Zoom call, and we can participate either over video or a phone call option, where we can plan as a group, talk about observations, known issue areas, areas that we think need additional evaluation, talk about things such as operations and maintenance of these roadways, identify if we need to send any paper maps. Do paper maps need to be sent to any of the core team members? And also any process concerns. Is there anything that BSC can do to make sure that the appropriate people that need to engage with this process are involved in the process? And so what are our next steps? Again, you'll see a link to the project website on this screen. BSC has developed the mapping tool, and at the time of this recording, we're wrapping the final pieces of that mapping tool up. The website will be has gone live now that you're watching this video. It's active, but we're wrapping that up right now. We're going to develop the field data collection tool, and as I mentioned, that's a tablet, and it'll be mobile device friendly as well, where we can use all the information that we have that we need to know to collect the field data for this effort. Where BSC is going to conduct that field effort over mid-summer. Hope to have it completed by September 2020. We're actually going to go out and drive the roads within the dirt roads within your community and collect data using this tablet tool. And we're asking the core team to continue to provide feedback to us. And once we get all our data collected, we're going to move into developing the vulnerability assessment and the prioritization index. And then we're going to start moving into community engagement and the education piece of this process. So that is the end of the presentation, and I'm going to stop the share on my screen here. So yeah, thank you everyone for participating, by watching. You are taking the first step to really making sure that this will be a successful project. I'm really excited to be working with your community. As I said, I worked with Sheffield through their planning grant process, and I'm working with New Marlborough on their planning grant process right now. And it's the feedback that I've been getting from the communities and their enthusiasm for this project has been really great. So it's an important thing to be thinking about. So I really look forward to working with you on this project and getting things going. So thanks a lot, and you take care, and we will talk to you soon.